King now.
What's up? What's up? What's up? Coming to you from number 1 Bimini Road. 900,000 kilowatts of pure funk from the front seat power. Shout out to all the true funk soldiers and club funketeers around the world, y'all. Funk from the front seat. Remember, funk. That's right. Put the guns down. Let's unite. Today, we got a real hot one for you. From the 1099 ladies, we have the founder of that group. She's one of my financial confidants, one of my mentors. Lyndah Tello is in the house today. Lyndah Tello is with us in the front seat. So, y'all check this out. I'm feeling really hyped. Had a nice journey last night with some beautiful people and some friends. I'll tell you all about it. Our producer today, Mr. Mark Lee, going up to you on 9 on the Grind TV. So let's start right here in North Carolina. Where you at? Where you at? Where you at? All right, Ohio. What's up, Lyndah? I know you're not feeling well. Prayers to you. I love you. Feel better. Lucy, clap your hands. Tiny, clap your hands. And he went through the jungle just as quick as a hawk. Had his beard and he read the shield. So all the pretty people just I couldn't see. So, hey, sure, Long Island, where you at? What's up, New York City? Virginia, where you at? I love you, Pat. I'm feeling today. I'm going to be on one today, y'all. Tello's in the house. We dropping knowledge. I'm producer Mr. Mark Lee's here. We starting our 4th year, y'all. Just had our 30th anniversary. Oh, yeah. What's up, boo? I love you. Philadelphia, what's up, Minneapolis, Detroit, the Motor City, Pennsylvania, what up?
Didn't know where the beat was coming from, but they knew it had to be another Nubian king left in the future.
Virginia,
somewhere around 2008.
Minneapolis,
that's the glowing green, raising his
all around the world, clap your hands. Georgia, New Orleans, where you at?
Fine women on the block hear me, going down in the studio, track by track.
Letting everybody know the Empire Strikes Back. Another spaceship here, spaceship there. Here ship, there ship, everywhere, mothership. Landed in Detroit. All the fucking beats like to beat down. New Orleans, what up? Oklahoma, Chicago, Canada. Woo! All around the world, clap your hands like this. California, Florida. My man Al, feel better, Al. I love you down there, man. Woo! Hawaii, Samoan, doing the humpty hump. Humpty hump. Work from the front seat is upon you. 9 on the Grind TV. Our special guest today, dropping nuggets of knowledge. Lyndah Tello, founder of the 1099 ladies. And for America, y'all. All right. Let's go around the world. Dubai, England, Ireland, what's up, Elizabeth? Sending love to you. I ain't forget about your people. Italy, DJ Cocolino, thank you for playing the funk. DJ Monica Switzerland on XOTV. Oh yeah, Bootsy got some stuff planned for us, y'all. Africa, where you at? Ukraine, Russia, what up? Woo! North and South Pole, Colombia, Puerto Rico, hello, all around the world for this here funk, y'all. What's up? Iran. Are y'all feeling that funk? If you are, say yeah. Say hell yeah. And all my funketeers, I'm gonna see y'all at the Funketeers Ball. We gonna be partying down. September 30th, y'all. CC Alliance. I love y'all. We want y'all to follow. Follow this knowledge, y'all. Another one, I told you. Had a nice journey last night. Oh, shout out to Jen, to Janice. Shout out to Mia. And Leah hanging out with those beautiful queens last night. It was righteous. Follow y'all. Oh, we gonna be on one today. I can feel it. I'm already sweating, yo. From the front seat of the corner. 9 on the Grind TV. Ain't nothing but a party going on as we dropping this knowledge all around the world for the funk. And before we get started, man, shouts out to anybody that got a birthday, anybody that transitioned out of here. It's not always a bad thing. We feel the pain, we feel the hurt, of course we do. But trust me, sometimes, things have to run their course. We're all energy, so just keep that in mind. And anybody that's dealing with anything, and if you ever feel some type of way, please pick up the phone and call somebody. We are definitely trying to, what's up, Jen? Last night was dope, yo. We're definitely trying. What's up, Quince? How you doing, bro? We're definitely in Ohio. What up, man? Shout out Ohio. We're definitely trying to keep things, on this show available for you, so everybody can kind of, have a spot when they feel they don't have a spot. You still got a spot. Even when your spot you think is gone, you don't, because you got people like myself, Lyndah, Mark. You got people you can reach out to. It's summertime. We know people always feeling some type of crush to keep up with the Joneses, this and that. But remember, just be you. Stay in your lane. Keep up with you. You ain't got to worry about none of that other stuff because, really, truth be told, grand scheme of things, it really don't matter. What matters is right here, right now, what y'all get ready to get dropped on. And without further ado, we bringing in the lady of the hour. She's a world-class debutante, globetrotter, skimming and swimming and diving and hanging and jiving down in the waters of who knows where. And she came up for air, getting funky, y'all. So she got down and came up for air just so she can hang out with us. So Lyndah, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for spending time with us. How are you?
What an introduction.
Huh?
Thank you. What an introduction. Thank you so much.
Hey, you deserve that and then some. Trust me when I tell you. You are an amazing, beautiful spirit. And every time you come on the show, you enlighten us. And, that's what this show is about. Of course, you can follow her information, and touch and reach out and, chat with her privately if you must. But today, first of all, I want to ask you, how are you and your family doing? And how was your trip? Hi, Janet. How was your trip?
Oh, it was wonderful. It was wonderful. I was scuba diving in Cozumel, getting my mermaid on, as I like to tell my family. But I think it's important. I thought a lot about this when I was on my trip because the world is spinning with all this drama, political drama, and wars and everything else in it. It can really get in your head and screw with your sense of peace, where you're going, what you're doing. Like, it can really distract you from having a happy life. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know. Sometimes we forget who we are and why we're here.
Right.
And in addition to some of the things we're going to hit on today, I wanted to just remind people, sometimes you need help to remember who you are, and that's okay. Yeah. I've had plenty of people help me remember, hey, you're worthy. One of my favorite sayings that my therapist says is, don't ever think that you're not worthy, because you really are worthy. You and I have had these conversations when I reached out to you for certain, emotional support. And that's what, especially guys, man, don't be afraid to reach out for that emotional support. We're human. We feel, we hurt. But guys, we are here to protect the queens and make sure you put your arms around your queens and love them and hug them, because that's very, very important. We were talking about vacations and, scuba diving. Do you do that a lot? Are you like a professional? No, for real, because I know you've told me before you've done it.
Yes. So the word professional means you're paid to do the service. So like, you're a professional musician because you're paid. Right? But everybody who plays the guitar is not a professional. They could even be better than you, but if they're not paid, they're not a professional. You know what I mean? So I am not a professional diver because no one has ever paid me for diving. It's It's a really cool hobby. So what I like about it is the first thing I want to say is there's more life per square inch on a coral reef than anywhere else on the planet. So it's really incredible. It's full of life. But I, as a person, tend to talk a lot. You know what you can't do under the ocean? Talk. You got a regulator in your mouth for air. It forces you to shut up and be very present. And I think that, you know, that's what it reminded me of, is a lot of times we're all running around with this spin, you know, talking about this, talking about that, and we're concerned and we care and we're passionate and we're high energy, but we could be our own doing with the same thing.
Yeah.
Because all that spin can get you into a place of exactly what you're talking about: high anxiety, depression, feeling lost, feeling overwhelmed. These feelings come with that spin. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. You know, and see, because I don't swim, but I like being around water and in water as long as it's not over my head and it's calm. Because I think since we were born out of that, you know, from that alien planet onto this one, and you know, being in water almost seems like a natural thing we all should embrace, only because of the energy and the way it can heal us.
Yeah.
Because when you're in the water, I'm sure you feel this way. You know, you're surrounded by this powerful force, yet it keeps you safe as long as you have the proper equipment, you know?
Yeah. Well, I
And
mean, considering when you're in your mother's womb, you're
yes,
floating in a sack of water,
yes,
right?
that's right. That's what I mean. Yeah,
Where it
that's
all
where that's supposed
begins.
to come from. Yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah,
then if you're a person that's afraid of the ocean because of, you know, sharks or whatever stuff, you can take an Epsom salt bath,
yeah,
or a nice hot bath, because that's the salt. The salt in the ocean is what is really got all those healing properties, 32 elements in the ocean that
yes,
your body needs. And just go soak in a tub and don't talk, just sit there and be quiet. And that can have huge healing properties. That's something that somebody could do today, even if they
yeah,
were feeling overwhelmed.
yeah,
And then I'm telling you, every time I do that, I come out and I feel so much calmer
yeah,
and so much more relaxed.
yeah,
And that's kind
yeah.
of what I was hoping to talk about today, is things that you can do. As a financial advisor, I can't tell you how many conversations I have about collapsing banks and wars in other country and stock market, and you know, and people are stressed about all this spin. So, you know, step one in my mind is your physical person. So what can you exactly do? One of the things I love is your breath. You take in your breath thinking the word peace, you hold it for a couple of minutes, and you breathe out thinking the word stress. A couple of 3 or 4 deep breaths dials your heart rate down and calms you, and it can be magical. And everybody, you don't need a pill or a prescription, everybody has the breath. That's something they can do. Taking that Epsom salt bath, I mean, you can't do that if you're at work, obviously, but at the end of a tough day, instead of reaching for a substance, do something healthy for yourself. You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly, exactly. You know, and I'm getting comments on my phone. That's why I'm looking, because I was going to tell you the comments as they come through on both. But you know, people are definitely digging what you're saying when it comes to being in that water, taking a bath, and stuff like that. You know, I think because our subject and one of our topics today, how to survive in the world of chaos,
Yeah.
um, is a perfect segue, because yes, we are doing these things to surround ourselves, and we can be in water, and we can be meditation, we can be spiritual, we can be in the churches and the various groups that we're involved in, music, what have you, reading, so forth, whatever, you know. But when we enter, I call it the speedway, when we walk out that door,
Right.
and this ain't about race, creed, color, sexual orientation, it's about spiritual human being. When that spiritual human being walks out that door and gets bombarded by what I call Hulk's gamma rays of bullshit out there in the world, you know what I'm saying? And it's like we trying to survive now in the world of chaos. So first of all, tell us a little bit about your background before we jump into the serious subject. Did I lose your volume? Tell us a little bit about your background. Oh, I
Oh,
lost. Yeah, your background. Yeah.
Got it. And you know what happened? It appears that the internet for me is a little unstable, so
Okay.
it paused, and I didn't hear what you said.
No
So I
worries. Yeah,
apologize.
yeah. Before we jump into the subject, because I was saying how
Right.
to survive in the county, I wanted people to know who you are and what you do a little bit.
Okay. So first of all, I grew up in New York City, and I like to say you can take the girl out of New York, but you can't take the New York out of the girl. You know.
Yep.
And what does that mean? That culture is very fast paced, very aggressive, and you either step up or you're a victim. It's like drilled into you. So I moved to the South to be a gentler, calmer version of myself. But I have all those things in my back pocket if an emergency arises to tap into. And one of the things you learn quickly in a high stress situation is the person who's calm rules. So having the ability to be calm in a high stress situation
Yes.
is very powerful, compared to, especially, when you're in the company of others. If everyone else is hysterical and you're the calm one, you are immediately the leader.
Yeah.
And people look to you and say, how come you're calm? How did you get that confidence? Where's that coming from? She must know what she's doing. Like, all those thoughts are occurring to people just because you have figured out how to stay calm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when we go out into the world, we're going to meet people and they're going to have all their crazy energies. I almost like to create a bubble around myself, because I think I'm here, I'm on a mission. I want to leave
Yep.
everybody I meet better than the way I found them, whether it's with a kind word, or if they're not talking, I'm praying in my head for them, or I'm looking for some way to be of service to them.
Yeah.
And I think that if you have that intention, what happens is you go out into the world to help other people and you get blessed,
Yes.
because it's just the way it works. It's like for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction.
And I'm
So,
glad you mentioned that about kind of when you go into a spot, put a spiritual bubble around yourself, because Billy Carson speaks of that. Dolores
yeah,
Cannon always spoke of that. A lot of people speak of when you go out, we have the ability, because the ultimate one, the power of the one, the creator who created the universe, gave us that ability, as long as we can summon that and figure out the process to do it. And
all
just
right.
every time we work to build our spirituality, make ourselves stronger, it just becomes habit then.
And it is a muscle.
Yes, it is. Thank you. Thank you. It is. It is. Has to be reinforced.
Right.
It has to be
I
pushed.
think one of the first things you should think is, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
This isn't an accident. I didn't happen into this place. I didn't screw up. That's not why I'm here. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. And I have a mission here. What is it?
Yeah.
Who is it I'm supposed to meet? Who is it I'm supposed to help? Because if you're thinking, oh my God, I messed up, I should have never talked to this person, I should never be in this. When you start to get those ideas in your head, you undermine your confidence.
That's right.
So
That's
if you
right.
walk around thinking you're exactly where you're supposed to be, you are supposed to meet this person, you have a special message for them, you are divine, in this appointment.
Yeah, because
That gives
spelling.
you confidence and peace.
Yeah, that's right. Because spelling and casting spells on ourselves, we do that all too often. We all do. So if you learn that muscle memory about how to check that spirituality and keep those chakras aligned, and how to really, really do a deep dive into where the inner spirit lies, where the power of the one, the true one, because we all just ultimately part of that light we're trying to get back to. That's why you and I connected. That's why, light workers connect all over the world. We're starting to do that more and more. I think we're here to bring about this new age, where people do have alternative. I was going to ask you something, and we're hanging out today with Lyndah Tello, founder of the 1099 Ladies, also district leader, Primerica. So please hit her up if you want any of that information. She's always available offline, privately. And you can always, hit the show up myself or Mr. Markley back there behind the glass, keeping it fun, keeping it sassy, always classy, never last, Mr. Markley. Thank you. I appreciate you. And you guys keep all the comments coming in. We appreciate you guys. Curtis, how you doing? And, George the Funk Vinci, I didn't forget about you, bro. But, man, please stay active, because that's what makes this show what it is. How to survive in a world of chaos. What made you want to talk about that? The chaos.
Well, because I realized the power of being emotionally is the first thing. And then the second thing, because you don't just stop there. It's not just about how you feel. It's about what you do, right? So there's an action part to this. And what can you control? You can control your person, You control how you spend your money, control where you go, how you think. Those are the things that are in your control. So I want to talk about, living within your means and taking ownership of your what you've been entrusted with. You've been entrusted with children, you've been entrusted with a mate, you've been entrusted with a place to live, you've been entrusted with a certain amount of money. Be a good steward with those things. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because individually, we all need those things, but collectively, we're all one conscious mind. So
Right.
I think the more we strive towards that one consciousness, it helps us all in a way that I think everybody doesn't really quite get. You know, we're
Yeah.
all down here to help each other. Do you think um, and I got to make sure I say this the correct way as not to
Okay.
offend anyone. And trust me, these are my opinions. The opinions of the show and my guests and Mark. They're not the opinions of Facebook or StreamYard. I have to put out that disclaimer or anything else. Any of the platforms we're on is not about them. It's about what we say. So, don't go after them. If you got to come after somebody, come after me personally. But since the Creator lives within us, do you think the world religion or being religious divides us?
So, you know what? I have a
The
better
word, like the word religion.
answer for that question. I
Yeah.
think everything can be used in a bad way or a good way. I mean, think of something practical, like a knife. You could use a knife to cut up a salad, or you could use a knife to kill a person.
Yeah.
So you can take anything and pervert it to something bad, or use it for its intended good. So the premise of almost every religion is love, is peace, every one of us wants to be at peace with the people that are in our family, in our lives. We want to love our children. We want to do well at work. We want to be successful. Everybody wants that, everybody. So, if you're really walking out your faith in a positive way, you can accomplish that. Now, if you're going to be about how are you different and how someone else is wrong and some random detail that they're not correct about, well, now you're down the slippery slope of division and fighting. And that's not the purpose. The purpose of our faith is to help us be the best version of ourselves, to help walk this walk, to be good to other people, and to live this beautiful life that was intended for us. It's not meant for us to fight over. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, you're right. Because that attitude comes from within.
Yeah.
So lately I've been studying a lot about, okay, how can I keep the pressure on my inside self to where I constantly have a higher thought
And I've got the answer to that. If you are always looking to be grateful for what you have, I'm so thankful for this, I'm so thankful that, you start making that list of things you're grateful for. You know what you don't have time for? You don't have time to be jealous. You don't have time to judge. You don't have time to look at what you don't have. You're a glass is half full person. You're happy. You feel appreciative of everything that you have and the people in your lives and the friendships. If that's where your head is, you are going to be in a such better space than the other person who's not doing that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense, Zach?
Yeah, totally, because our energy beams off of each other, and because we're all that energy, we're supposed to admit or omit love, to each other all the time. Even in our worst moments, which is very, very hard, only the high elite intellectual light workers can actually pull that off. I can't pull that off. I don't know many that can. But we learn from those mistakes. Every mistake we made or every issue we have, and I don't want to say mistakes, but every issue we learn from, we're supposed to gravitate up a little higher. So
Right.
we need people like you to kind of always nudge us and remind us.
And
this time to
I have a
time.
great recipe, because I know everybody on the planet can look back in their lives and think of a moment where they think, oh God, I wish I didn't say that. Oh God, I wish I didn't do that. Everybody has a regret. And what I invite you to do today is to go back to that moment in your life and say, I know that person. They were doing the best they could with what they had in that moment. I love that person because they had the best intentions. And I forgive that person for that shortcoming in that moment. I forgive them and release it. And the next time it comes to your head, say, oh no, I made a decision. I forgave myself in that moment. It's gone. And
That's right.
release it. Because
That's
when
right.
you don't forgive yourself, you teach other people not to forgive you. And then we all get trapped in that spin of you did this and you said that. And when you did that, and we need to shed it, forgive ourselves. And that's step one to being able to forgive somebody else. Does that make sense?
That was perfectly said. And again, we're hanging out with Lyndah Tello today. That was perfectly said because people need to hear that. People that's watching this show somewhere around the world, somewhere here in the
Yes.
United States, somebody needs to hear those words. It's okay to forgive yourself.
Yes.
I needed to hear those words for screw ups
Good.
that I did. And I think that because we now have platforms that we didn't have before,
Right.
I would be remiss if I didn't put this information out there and try to do my part.
Right.
I'm no greater, no worse than anyone else, but I at least I've been blessed to have a platform, and I'm gonna, because there's 10 times this year I was like, you know what, I'm done. And then I always get that call the next day, or I look at the calendar like, who do I got as a guest? And I'll see your name. I'm like, all right, I guess I got to do it. I'll see Jen's name, or so many times this whole past 2 months, I've been ready to pack it all in. I'm like, I'm tired. I can't take it. I'm stressed out. It's too much. I got to deal with personalities and this and that, and not just the show, but music too. And then I'll get a call, or I'll have somebody encourage me. Ken Knox the other night. Shout out to Ken Knox, chairman of the board family. You guys were great. You gave Chrissy and I just like carte blanche to everything, and it was a dope concert. And then he'll talk to me and be like, no, you're built for this. You can't give up. So it's God's way of giving me my power back, and not letting that dark energy take it.
Good.
So how do we, as spiritual beings in a physical suit, avoid sucking dark energy around us? What are some things, practical things that we could do every day in our daily lives just to keep it at bay?
It's funny. I'm going to say something that you already know the answer to. I think most of us are exhausted and dehydrated. I think if we just went to bed and got sleep and drank water, because 2/3 of our body is water, we would have an amazing experience. But we all run around drinking soda and coffee, which is not water. It's dehydrating. So you think it is because it's a liquid, but it's not. And we're up till 2 a.m, and then we get up at 7 or 8, and we have 4 or 5 hours sleep, and we just keep grinding. So we're always exhausted, and we're always thirsty, and our bodies are always craving, basic amenities. I really think that people need to get more rest. And these are basic things. I mean, I'm not even saying anything you don't know. So if you're hearing this and you're triggered by it, it's because that message was for you. You know that you're not being a good steward with your body. You're undermining your own peace and happiness.
You're right.
Does that make
I'm
sense?
shaking my finger at a few people out there.
Can you hear me?
And they can shake their finger back at me because I've been subconsciously and consciously bombard myself with so much water. I literally have to use the bathroom like every hour and a half. But
Good.
I feel good.
Good.
I feel good. Mentally, I'm back.
But not everybody can say that.
Yeah, that's true. You know what I watched the other day? I was reading or listening to this book on tape, Billy Carson, and I don't agree with everything he says, but the scientific part and the Egyptian and the extraterrestrial type stuff, information that he puts out, I kind of understand. And he was saying about how our 5 senses are the most important thing that we have.
Yes.
And the way he put it was that when we're vibrating, and I told this to a few people last night, our energy, if it's in the light, will always vibrate us towards away from the dark. So sometimes when we're vibrating high and we feel like we want to be FOMO, we're missing out on something. We're really not missing it. Our energy is purposely giving us a fail-safe switch. Don't do it or don't get involved or whatever. So it seems like people are on different time frames, but we're really not. We're all on this third rock on the planet time. So when you feel, anybody out there that's watching, when you feel like, hey, I feel like I'm dragging today. I'm going too slow. That's because your body isn't meant to catch up with something you're not supposed to catch up with, and vice versa. If you like you're going too fast and
Right.
others just aren't keeping up with you, they're not keeping up with you because they're not meant to, because they're not vibrating at the same level. And I found that very, very fascinating. What do you think on that?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I find also that when you change your vibration, who is attracted to you changes. You know how flies come attracted to the light on the porch? You know, they're attracted to that frequency.
Yes.
And when you are traveling at a frequency, who's attracted to you is going to be different than when you're slumming. You know that you're doing things that are bad for you, the people who you hang with are different than when you're on a path that's good for you, that's solid. You'll find that it's meant for you to shed people. They're there for a season, and then it's okay for them to release them. It's okay.
Yeah, yeah. And I am a bit crazy because I beamed in from
I
another
love your
planet with those
smile.
glasses. So yeah, I just came back from my dimension, and see that's how we roll over there. So I just gave you all a little glimpse into where I'm actually from. So pay attention, all right? Everything I do is subliminal. So pay attention, because I was reading your comment, like the glasses, whatever, those space glasses, that my alien other eyes. Those are my other eyes. So y'all pay attention to that. We're having a good time on the chat. Janice, hello. Curtis, how you doing? What's up, brother? You guys are definitely on point. Quincy, of course, Lyndah, of course, you guys are amazing. And please keep the comments coming in. Shout out to my man, Alan Florida. I know he's not feeling well. Big shout out to my funk sister in Ohio, Brenda Woods, Club Funkity ambassador. I know you're not feeling well. Feel better. Our prayers and thoughts are with you all the time, man. So here we are hanging out. We're in 2023. I'm getting up, getting ready to go about my day or my evening, and I go on my job, and right away somebody is just like vexing me for no reason. How do I handle it?
It's funny. That happens to me too. And
No, I
so
wasn't
it's like
saying
a
me. I'm
game
just
now.
saying as a human being, but not me, not me
Yeah.
personally.
It
But I'm
becomes
just saying
yeah,
my
no, it
audience.
becomes a game of being able to find something positive to say. So I met recently I met with a lady whose husband passed away. And I was helping her daughter's a friend of mine. So I went over to pick her up and take her to the grocery store. And she's talking about how her husband used to drive her to the grocery store, how he's not here anymore, how hard everything is. And I'm just listening to her talk. And I said, but isn't it a relief that he's not in pain anymore? Doesn't that tear you up to see someone you love in pain like that? Isn't it a relief that he's not in that pain anymore? And she turned to me and she said, you know what? It is a relief. And I've been so focused on what I didn't have, I didn't realize that's something I do have. Thank you for saying that. And so the challenge is when somebody comes at you with all this stuff, and she wasn't mean, she was just in her grief, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's very real. But even in our grief, there can be a glimmer of light, a glimmer of hope, a glimmer of comfort. And the game is to search for it and show it to the person and remind them who they are. We still need them. We're glad they're here. They have a purpose. They're a blessing to us. And keep fighting the fight, because we're all doing that too. You're not alone in that. Like, these are the messages that we need to disseminate to people to build them up. We want to go around building people up. When you go to work and you lift people up, you become priceless. You're the person everybody wants to be around. You're the person everybody wants to work with, because you have a word of encouragement. You're building them up, and people are thirsty for that, because everywhere we go, people tear us down. Everywhere we go, people are attacking us. No matter how the axe falls, you're on the wrong side. It's just remarkable how that works. So I think if you go around building people up, looking, searching for the thing that you can say that's positive, like a challenge accepted, then it's really a blessing everywhere you go to somebody. Isn't that amazing? It's an honor and a privilege for me.
It is, and that's why, when you come on the show and you take the time out, it's really special, because there are moments where, you say things that are so profound. And like you said, if it speaks to someone out in the audience, then it's meant for them to hear. And,
Yes.
It's important that we continue to do this. Somebody told me, like, you have to continue to do that. You know, I was talking to Patty Collins, and she said, no, you have to do that. She said, you basically have to, like, you made something from nothing, so you have to see it, so you have to finish. And I'm like, yeah, but I hate it sometimes. She said,
I know,
no,
but let me say to you, to him who waters, let him be watered. You know, like, take it in. Receive the positivity, my friend.
Yeah, no doubt. No, and see, thank you, because I need to hear that sometimes, because I want people to really embrace all my guests and what you guys have to say a lot of times, right? And that's why we started the new network, Not on the Grind. Officially, it's up. So it's on that platform, and we're trying to get on some other platforms, because somewhere years from now, whatever, when people look back and they pull this stuff up, I want them to know that some of us down here were actually trying to do the right thing. You know, we were actually light workers coming together. One of my favorite people to hear all the time is Keith Jackson from P-Funk Radio. And, you know, I'm going to give him a shout out right now. We're going to take a minute, a pause for the cause, so y'all could chill out, come back with Lyndah Tello and myself, Mr. Markley. Yes. I like that. So is the tiny one? You got the tiny one? Hell yes. I like that even better. Yo, you got a lot of fans already. You do got a lot of fans. So stay yes.
Give me yes.
Let me ask, do you hand these things out when you guys have your meetings and stuff, when you go 1099 later? Because you know what? I'm going to slip in one day and just like, I want some of these perks, you know? I'm gonna hook somebody up with you that needs to talk. You know, they really need to get in with y'all, man.
I'm here to bless people. Give me someone to bless.
I know you. Believe me. Oh, be careful what you wish for. I'm gonna be sending you one. Yes. Keith Jackson, what you got to say, my brother?
Hey, this is Keith Jackson with P-Funk Radio, inviting you to check out my brother Zach Robinson with Funk from the Front Seat. Saturdays, 12 noon on the East Coast and 9 a.m. on the West Coast. It all happens on 9 on the Grind TV and also on YouTube. Great guest, great conversation each and every Saturday. That's Funk from the Front Seat with Zach Robinson on 9 on the Grind TV and YouTube. Check him out.
Hey, it's Chrissy Key Rollins here with Holistic Restoration, inviting you to check out Zach Robinson with Funk in the Front Seat. He drops new episodes every Saturday at noon on the East Coast time, and replays are posted for whenever you miss a live stream. You can find him on 9 on the Grind TV and also on YouTube, and get ready for the funk because he brings it every week along with hot topics, amazing guests, and great conversations. Again, that's Zach Robinson with Funk from the Front Seat on 9 on the Grind TV and YouTube. Go check them out.
This is Joe Keys of Joe Keys and the Late Bloomer Band. Just did a show with my man Zach. Number 9, that's right. Number 9's got it going on. Check out Funk from the Front Seat. Zach Robinson, serious good vibrations, y'all. What we need. Peace.
Joe Keys, Late Bloomer Band, and we will be joining him, myself, Tony Cam, and Jackie Cam, as we go out on the road with Mandrill this August. And Joe Keys and the Late Bloomer Band is going to be the band. We've been blessed to do the vocals. I can't wait. Funko Joe Santiago, hero of mine, longtime mentor, you know, and the fact that he is taking me on this tour is an honor and a privilege. And I have to give a shout out. Remember, I was telling you every time, like, I feel like, oh, you know, it's time for me to just pack it in. I get this thing in the mail the other day, and I'm like, okay, I wonder what it could be, right? So Bernard Stewart down in San Antonio, Texas, one of my Facebook friends and a funk follower, and he follows us all the time. So I open it up, and I get this, more patches for my jacket, right? So this is God's way of saying you can't quit because you got funk fans sending you funk fingers to paste on your clothing. So Bernard Stewart, thank you. I'll definitely shout you out. He sent me 2 of these. And it started because he sent Joe Keys something once, and then I was jealous. I said, hey, you didn't send me nothing. So all of a sudden, I get this thing in the mail. And ever since then, he's been sending me stuff. So thank you, because he knows little things like this mean a lot. And this is the Funk God's way of saying, keep funkin'. So y'all see that? Keep funkin'. And next time you see my jacket, this will be on it. Which, by the way, you should hopefully can make it July 6th at the Poorhouse. Shout out Napier Funk Army. We're gonna be in town and we're gonna rip it up like we always do. So here we are hanging out with the amazing founder of the 1099 Ladies. And please give our audience a little bit about who that is and what you guys do, because I think you have a few ladies on here who might want to be interested in that.
Okay, great. Yeah. So, it's funny when you're self-employed, you quickly learn that going out into the world and finding your customer can become a full-time job, such that you have little time left over to do whatever it is you're thinking you're trying to promote, right? So it started out with me meeting with 15 or 20 women. We wanted to know 3 things. What skills do you bring to the marketplace? How are you different from your competition? And who are you trying to meet? Who's your ideal customer? And we'd go out in the world and listen for each other. And so we'd meet. We'd just pass leads back and forth with our little anecdotes. Wait till you meet this guy, blah, blah, blah. Because I say nobody climbs a mountain by themselves. They go up as a team. They high five at the top. Let's all get rich together. Who's in? No one ever says no to me. It's really taken on a life of its own. So now 7 years later, there's 800 women and 11 chapters. It's really just a force of positivity. Some people come much more than others, and the more you come, the more you benefit. So there's that. But everybody's in a different place, and I honor and respect that. And the goal is for somebody who's self-employed or the person who wants to be, because we got a lot of girls that work full-time jobs and have side hustles that they're trying to grow to get outside and free themselves from corporate America, Yeah.
I think because you I met you and you were, you've been on this journey for a minute. I was fascinated and I was like, you know what? This is what it's about, because women are the most powerful species on the planet. And the fact that you're bringing all these ladies together is facts. The fact that you're bringing all these ladies together, you know me, I'm always like applauding that. That's how I met all you guys. That's how I met you. That's how I met, Normia. And then through Normia, then I met Jen. And then, I met Chrissy Key Rollins. And the whole thing, to me, is meant for me to try to do that part. Not because I have daughters. Shout out Kayla Maya, because I love you. And, hi, Ella, because I love you too. Not because of that, but because, I always felt like, and I'm a man saying this, that women always have gotten the short end of the stick, no matter what stick it is, right? And not that you preferred it that way, but only because, not enough people understand your power, your true power as a woman. And I don't, because I'm not a woman. So, but you do have power.
I think we always had power. It's whether or not we want to do anything with it. There's a great line in My Big Fat Greek Wedding. She says, your father is the head of the family, but your mother is the neck, and she can turn that head any way she wants. But women don't realize that. They stay in the corner, they stay behind the scenes because that's where they're comfortable, because that's what they think. But the minute you know who you are, you can step into that greatness and own the room.
That's right, a worldwide awakening. That's right. Yeah. And I was going to get to that in a second after I shout out P-Funk Radio, JTRP, Gabe Gonzalez, Larry Funkster Jones, Robin Circle, and P. Of course, my man Philly Phil, get on the funk bus. All you guys are constantly pumping that funk. In addition to the Dayton, Ohio radio scene, David Webb, which we picked up on 9 on the Grind TV. Every Sunday at 3 o'clock, you will hear those episodes. Bootsy and Patty, of course, man, I know y'all got my back. I love y'all tremendously. HJ Entertainment, Heidi, Kanan Jams, Tony Cameron, the Funk All-Stars, Nappy at Funk Army, Oak City Music Collective, Diego and Tammy, love you guys. Afterglow, 92416, Q&A Entertainment, Brooke Clagett, my Funk Angel, I'll see you in September. Love TXS Energy Drinks, I'm out, bro, so I need more. Patricia Dioria, Aquarius Rising Art, Curtis Wilcox, and George the Funk Vinci, David Brookenstein, I love you. DJ Cocolino in Italy, Elisabetta in Ireland, and of course Tammy Soul Sister Germany, and DJ Monica in Sweden. All you guys have taken my funk and turned it into house music, and you play it over there, and I really, really appreciate it. It's a blessing. And you all stay tuned for Flag on the Funk coming out sometime in July. That's a hot one. We did some different things with that music, so y'all need to check that out, man. Do you think your thoughts on a worldwide spiritual awakening? Now, I've seen it, right? Thoughts on a worldwide spiritual awakening as so many people are making a conscious choice to gear themselves or move toward a more organic form of spirituality and enlightenment. I see people saying, okay, religion is cool. I'm not knocking it, but I want more. I want to get in deeper spirituality. I want to go back further. I want to read this book, that book, this book, that book. How do you feel about that?
I mean, I think everybody has a different path, but I think we're all headed in the same destination.
Yeah. Amen.
I also think religion is not about us and us being happier and us getting more. I think religion is about being of service and how can I help you and how can I feel like when we're good to other people, that's the rent we pay for being on the planet. We're obligated. And whatever gets you there to that place where you want to be generous, where you want to give other people kind words, kind actions, kind feelings, whatever gets you there, use it. For me, I've had a faith from the time my two little feet hit the ground that I've gripped to and I love and cherish. But I do realize that that's not everybody's path. And that's okay. That's my path. And I got to be who I am. This is what we're all born to, right?
That's right.
But
that's right.
Just press forward, press to the positivity.
Yeah. I think and I'm going to ask you another statement. Walk in your true power. If I said that to you, or if you said that to someone, what would you mean by that?
That means showing up with everything you are, bringing everything you have to every situation. It's game on because you're rested, you're watered, you're positive in your thoughts, you're excellent to your ability in that moment. You're present. And you're there to help somebody else. You're there to make a difference. That's what that means to me.
Yeah. I heard that statement because a friend of mine, we was talking about Bruce Lee, and he's into the arts, and he was saying Bruce Lee always was saying,
I love Bruce Lee.
His book "Be Like Water." That whole statement, He said if you pour water into the teapot, water becomes the teapot. If you pour water into a cup, it becomes.
Yes.
It's such a profound, simple statement, but so powerful.
Well, yeah, and he's really quoting Newton because Newton defines the characteristics of everything. So he defines solid as holding its own shape, liquid assuming the shape of whatever vessel you put it into, and gas filling the space that the other two don't hold.
And when you say Newton, you mean Sir Isaac Newton?
Yes.
Okay.
And then we have non-Newtonian mixtures, which is cornstarch and water. So cornstarch and water, you can slip your hand into it slowly and it acts like a liquid. You can punch it and the force that you hit it with, it's reciprocated and it feels solid. So it's one of those really unique things. It's not defined by Newton's property. So this is me being a science teacher right now, but Bruce Lee totally understood physics because he had to be a martial artist. It's all about physics. It's balance, counterbalance. It's bending forces away from you. That's the whole premise of martial arts. Yeah. So he had to have a vein of physics running through his body there. So I totally understand why he's quoting Newton in that. And I, of course, love Newton. I think he's the foundation. We see far because we stand on the shoulders of great men like Newton.
That's right. That's right. And Chrissy, she said this is one of my favorite quotes and movie quotes of all time because when you kind of can do that whole water thing and we're manipulating through this energy, and like you said, Sir Isaac Newton came up with this, by himself, but of course he had the grace
divine
and the
power,
creator, but he put it down so we could get it and understand. Yes. He broke it down. It might have came to him in ones and zeros intellectually where we couldn't understand it, but he broke it down. And this is why we need to figure out a common thread as far as communication, because we all can communicate, but we have so many different languages on this planet and we all live in so many different places. But the one thing we have is love. That's the pure language. That's the language. And we need to do that.
Well, and you know what else? And I'm surprised you didn't say it. Music.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Music is a common language. I mean, you show up to Zach's show and you can't stay in your seat. You're on your feet. You're moving. You're feeling the energy coming off that stage from this guy. He's like radiating like a lighthouse to us all. And everybody who's close by should go check out Zach at his concert.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
that means a lot.
Wonderful.
Yeah. And music is that, because when I talk about it, and sometimes we get into it deeper, the 12 notes that we all been given to hear since the beginning of time, everybody's been using those same 12 notes and creating all of this wonderful different music. That's how powerful the creator is.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Did you see that lawsuit where Marvin Gaye's heirs were suing because he used 4 notes, and he's like, you can't patent, you can't own 4 notes.
Oh, yeah, the guitar player. Yes, I saw that. Yes.
You can't own the color blue. I mean, and he's right. Those 4 notes, he literally brought a guitar into the courtroom.
Yeah, he won.
Playing songs from the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, 70s, showing the same 4 notes again and again and again, all through time. The music to use those 4 notes.
And he won. He won.
Yes. Well, because that's fair.
And I think it was fair. And I'm glad he did that demonstration to show people, just because you play something, somebody else around the world could be playing the same thing. It doesn't mean that you stole it or they stole yours.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because music never dissipates. It only recreates in another place and time. Philip Bailey said that from Earth, Wind & Fire. And because it goes out into the universe as energy, of course I'm going to grab Funkadelic, Prince, or Led Zeppelin, or Chaka Khan, or Nina Simone. Of course it's going to be inside of me. Or when I write about it, some of it's bound to come out. When you walk around and you're doing your daily job, and there's a pulse right now out in this country where people are so uptight, almost post PTSD. What do you think is causing that?
I think they're paying too much attention to the media. I think they need to shut their televisions off.
Hey, yes.
And I want to tell you a funny story about that. So I have a client whose landlord raised the rent. And so they came to me all hysterical because now how are they going to afford this new rent hike? So I said, well, let's look at your budget. So one of the things they had to do was shut off cable. And their hanging out money got cut, and so we found free things for them to do. So I met with them recently now, because this was last year, and that we just had, and you know what they said? They built a garden bed in the backyard. They're eating out of their garden. They would have never done that. They would have stayed in front of the TV. Because the TV got turned off, they got outside. The whole family's doing it together. Kids argue over who gets to pick the cucumbers that day. And he is so glad that the landlord raised the rent, because it forced him to shut off the TV, pushed everybody outside to do this family project, and they feel like they're eating healthier. And it's just, so I want you to realize that sometimes when things happen, they look immediately at the beginning like some sort of punishment or curse, and you're angry and you're hurt. But what it is it's an invitation to re-inventory your life and shift and adjust.
Yep.
Because they're still living in that house, it's still a roof over their head, right? But their quality of life actually got better because of that. And so I think that's one of the things I wanted to challenge everybody today, because I know we're all spending more money at the grocery store, spending more money at the gas tank. Rents are going up, and that's overwhelming. But it's an invitation for you to take a step back and say, all right, what are some of the things I need to release now? I no longer need those things, because you do need a house, and you do need to drive someplace, and you do need to eat. So those things are not going away. So what other things in your life need to go away? What monthly subscriptions can you release? Maybe we all should shut off the television, because it's really the point of stress. We don't see it as that, because it used to be a source of entertainment, but it's changed. The face of television has changed.
Amen.
And what you look at now is poisoning you. It's poisoning your thinking. It's taking away your happiness and joy. It's not entertainment anymore. It's doom and gloom. See, and so maybe we need less television.
And I'm
Does
glad
that make sense to you?
I'm so glad you said that. We're hanging out with Lyndah Tello today. This woman is amazing. You should definitely check her out. Her information's at the bottom because she drops nuggets of knowledge every single second of every single day. And I'm so glad you're in my life. You're a queen. I honor you, and all that good stuff, man. Because believe me, you've done. Hell yeah. I'll say it loud because I'm supposed to say it louder when the letters are bigger, right? Say yes, hell yes. Okay, there you go. But when we look at healthy choices, and I'm always trying to get other people to understand this, right? Between the media, TV, it tells you, okay, go eat this, go eat that. They make it look so good. You're really poisoning yourselves. I went into a place, and it rhymes with feets, but it's not. So I ain't gonna say the name, feets. But the little place literally smelled like grease. I literally thought I was gonna throw up. And I only went in there just to use ATM for like 2 seconds. I came out, I came home and changed clothes. I smelled like grease. You can smell the trans fat, right? Now, why are they poisoning us? They're poisoning us because they need customers.
That's right. And it's exactly right. I'm going to say a conspiracy theory now, but
No.
The whole pharmaceutical industry does not create cures. They create clients. When I was a little girl, I took medicine for 7 days and I was better. Now the new way is to take a pill every day for the rest of your life. They're all about suppressing symptoms, not healing. And we need to go back to the old ways of natural remedies. Now, obviously, if you break a leg, go get a cast. I'm not saying don't have anything to do with modern medicine. And if you need stitches, of course, go get them. But I'm saying there's a whole bunch of little stuff. Like if you have a headache, most of the time when you have a headache, you're dehydrated. If you have a glass of water, your headache goes away. That's right. Better than Tylenol.
That's right.
Right? Now, if the water doesn't work 15 minutes later, then take the Tylenol. But I would try the water first and leave the pill for second.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Because see, healthy choices, and I know because I've had 10 surgeries with bones and joint issues and stuff. And I know for a fact they would give me any pain pill that I wanted when I was in pain management. And got mad at me when I wanted to leave. And I said, no, I'm just going to go smoke a joint when I'm in pain now and eat a gummy or a brownie. I said, that makes me feel better because it's organic. And it was like, oh, no, well, you can't do that. I was like, yeah, I can. I said, because you're not helping me.
Yeah. And how are they going to stop you anyway? They're going to come to your house and snatch it out of your hands? Come on.
Exactly. I told them, I was like, this contract ain't going to stand up in the court of law. The thing that they make you sign when you come in. I was like, this thing is worthless. I was like, it's not even notarized. And they literally got mad at me when I wanted to leave, and that's because they needed my money. I was a customer. Right. I was a customer.
And you're not drinking their Kool-Aid.
That's right. I was a customer.
And Jen, I totally agree with you.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I want to tell you, everybody's thinking that. People are afraid to say it because they don't cancel culture stuff going on, but everybody's thinking it. So if you're
and we're saying it,
the majority.
Yeah, and we're saying it on this show. We ain't afraid to say it. This is the truth right here. So we telling you, hey, take better care of your health. Because when you said water, Lyndah, it's the key. Because the brain can't see. It's encased in darkness in water. So the whole thing with COVID, because everybody's kidneys was shutting down because the number one organ needed water. So when people was catching this thing, the brain, scientists and doctors all came out and said, oh, we screwed up. The brain was the first thing. It was pulling water from the water source in the body, the kidneys. That's why people's kidneys were shutting down. And our scientists had us chasing a whole nother rabbit hole. You know what I'm saying? Now it comes out, they're like, oh, yeah, we were wrong. We should have been having everybody drink 3 or 4 times as much water when they had COVID. So the brain can stay healthy and active, And again, of course, they're going to bullshit you about stuff because they want customers. So if you're out there, just be mindful of what you put in your body. Fast food is so good for you.
When they introduced the low-fat diet to the American people, do you know what spiked? Dementia. For hundreds of years, old people didn't have dementia. Then we go on low-fat diets, and now every old person has some level of dementia. Low-fat diets are not good for us.
That's right.
We should have real fat in moderation.
Right. Yep.
You know what I mean? Yep. Instead of margarine and low-fat this and low-fat, which has been processed and chemicals and all, to get the fat out and all that. That was a big mistake.
And see, like you said, because we didn't pay attention to some of these laws and I remember I signed up for this petition to try to get the labels to put the actual stuff that was in the food on the food. Remember California was doing that? And all of a sudden our government put the kibosh on it. Our government didn't want us to know what they was putting in the grass.
That's right.
What the cows are
Keep us
eating.
in the dark.
Because, and I attest this, when I was in school, kids looked like kids.
Yep.
Young ladies looked like kids. They didn't have all the features of a grown woman. Now, these young girls, 10, 11, 12, 13 years old, and I'm like, it's the hormones in the food and the milk.
Yes.
You know? And then, of course, their female problems start a lot earlier because they have these hormones.
Right.
And it's just wrong. You know? It doesn't make any sense to me that we switched everything up when we were healthier, and now we allow this as people to happen. You know? That's right, Jen. You got that right. We have to take that back. How do we take that back? Individually?
Yeah, I think number one, we should go shopping at the farmers markets that are available to us.
That's right. That's right.
We should make friends with neighbors who have chickens and goats and get our milk and eggs from our neighbors instead of some big corporation somewhere. Because, you know, it's funny. Most people think they vote every 4 years, but you don't. You vote every day with your dollars.
That's right.
When you buy something, you are voting. You're saying, I like your company, I like your product, I like your politics. That's what you're voting with.
Say that again.
And if you want
say that again. You got to say that again.
Okay. Most people think they vote every 4 years, but you don't. You vote every single day with your dollars. When you buy something, you're voting with those dollars. So when I go to my neighbor and buy eggs, I'm voting for animal kindness, quality of life for that chicken, and then that passes into my body when I eat those eggs. That goodness is transferred. That's what I'm paying for. But when you have some corporation with gajillion chickens, poorly treated, poorly fed, you know, like inhumane conditions, that's what you're putting in your body. And even if it's $1 cheaper, I don't care. It's not worth it. I would rather put the money in my neighbor's hands who's trying to feed his family than give it to a large corporation, which doesn't care about its workers or anything else. You know what I mean? So I think vote with your dollars. Spend your money with companies who are doing things that you agree with. Like this whole thing with McDonald's having genetically engineered meat in the hamburgers. No more cow. It's mixed. It's half cow, half something else. If you agree with that, then yeah, keep patronizing. If you don't agree with it, stop buying their product. That's how you send a message to them to do something different or better.
You know, when you mention these things, and you and I know them to be factual because we've seen the evidence.
Do your homework.
Yes.
Go look it up.
And see, people would tend to be like poo-poo it, but they don't understand. Somebody has to say, whoa, stop. Society, hold on. We can take control back. There's no way in the world 1% should be controlling 99% of the thought processes. So for those of you out there, you don't have to be a sheep, but you don't have to be a rebel, but you don't have to be a sheep.
No.
You know?
Exactly.
Just find it.
And you know what? The 1% are only 1% because we made them.
That's right.
Giving them our money.
That's
we
right.
Made them kings.
That's right.
We can take back our money.
That's right. That's right. That's right. I agree with you 100%. And this is why this year we're going to push more shows like this. We're going to push more shows with children on it. I value what you young people say. I've had young people on. I'm going to get a few more young people on throughout this year, Mark and I, because we're trying to bridge that gap. We're trying to make sure people get your message. Make sure we pass that on to the young people, because now that we're gatekeepers, and like it or not, like you once told me, I am a role model. You are a role model. People do look up to us. What we have to say, they listen, and we're trying to pass on that good information. So for everybody out there, please understand, this is not about punching down on yourself. It's about making healthy choices, living longer, eating right, understanding our bodies spiritually, healthy, and mentally being strong. So we can do the things that we want to do. That's right, Quincy. You're right, bro.
That's right. And Jen too. She's right there.
Oh yeah. What did Jen say? I didn't see her comment. Mark, put up Jen's comment. Mark Lee, why don't you join us in the spirited conversation? Oh yes, Jen. Yes, eat whole, full fat. That's right. That's right, Jen. That's right.
Glad to join
Markley.
y'all in the conversation. Glad to see Lyndah doing her amazing work in all of that space and spreading all that truth and all of that knowledge and all in that kind of way. By the way, Quincy, who has been here, want to give him a shout out because he is a member of the Funky Eye Puppets. He's actually the administrator or one of the administrators for that group that I've had the pleasure of working with, even though I've not been active lately and everything. But that is a spoken word, a group that uses poetry and art and a number of other things to actually get the message out as well and everything.
Thank you,
So
Quincy.
he is definitely part of that. He's like one of the main administrators, and he's also a jump roper. So he does that whole bounce and jump rope.
Well, thank you, sir.
Double dutch person.
Hell yes.
He's an amazing double dutch performer in that sense, and like he said, he's out of Ohio and all in that kind of way. So it's always good to see him pop into various spaces and give his word of support. Lyndah, I did have a question for you because there is a term that is used. I know we'll hear it a lot this month. And by the way, this is Pride Month. So I do know a lot of folks that are part of the LGBTQIA community are oftentimes using the term about bringing truth to power and things along those lines. So I'd love to hear your thoughts about that because that is a term that I've heard a lot of people use in terms of bringing truth to power and all in that kind of way. So I just wonder what your thoughts were about that particular phrase.
I mean, I think truth prevails, and I think that speaking the truth in love is a very powerful thing to do. A lot of times we want to be people pleasers and we want to fit in. And so we shrink back and hold our truths in because we're nervous to be accepted, nobody wants to be canceled. Nobody wants to end all their friendships because they have a different idea. But, bringing your truth without name calling, without, degradation, without disrespect, bringing your truth and loving kindness is everybody's right. And there's a lot of power in saying, hey, I accept you as you are, and because I want you to accept me as I am. You know what I mean? And I think that that's a very powerful thing to do. And if there would be so much less fighting if everybody just let everybody have their own space.
Yep, I definitely agree with you on that, Lyndah.
When we say space and we say energy, and we're thinking in terms of that, Mark, that was a great question. My producer, Mr. Mark Lee, and congratulations, because we are now officially heading into our 4th year. It's our first month of our, we had 3 years. May made 3 years. I can't believe it myself. Every time I want to get out, they pull me back in. But our energy, the three of us, 3 different spots right now, our energy is combined and connected. We're thinking alike, right? We as light workers always want to be empathic and care about other people. But right now, Lyndah, like you said, there are so many things out there to care about. It's hard to focus. How do we focus on things that are important and leave the things that are not to the side?
So what happens is, as we go out into our day, we're going to encounter opportunities. And that's where we should just be very present with what the day presents to us. Because a lot of the stuff is out of our control anyway. Do you think I have the power to go over to Ukraine and end that war? If I did, it would have been done already, right? So worrying about something like that does not help anybody. And it doesn't change a thing. So I think what we need to do is, what can we do today, now, with what we've been presented with? Let's do the best we can with that. If that's our focus, it reins in a lot of anxiety and drama. Because, we all care, but what can we do? Where is our power? Where does it begin and end? And let's do what we can with what we've been given.
That's right.
So go out to the world today. I'm going to meet people who I don't even know yet because it hasn't happened. But I'll tell you what I do know. Whoever I meet is going to be met with kindness and respect. And I'm going to look for an opportunity to build that person up. That's my agenda today. That's the power that I'm bringing today. And if everybody did that, we could change the whole world.
That's right. Go ahead, Mark. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem. I just had a quick thought because it was actually a quote that I had seen in an article that talks about another major part of activities that go on where we can have that unity and that connection. I mentioned to you earlier that there's a bunch of festivals going on here in Durham today. Everything from the Beaver pageant to Bembe to a Pride event and a number of other things. But I was also reading an article earlier today about sports, because actually one of their guards of the Milwaukee Bucks was actually making a quote because of Pride Month, and I loved what he said. Was he was saying that the power of sport can bring everybody together, right? It doesn't matter your gender, it doesn't matter your ethnicity, it doesn't matter your political views, and it definitely doesn't matter your sexual identity. But you're probably there either for or against that particular team that is in the competition and all along those lines. So I know that later on today, a lot of folks will be heading to the Bulls game, and they will be either rooting for, and probably the majority will be rooting for the Bulls, and there'll be a few that will be rooting for the other team that they are going against, but they will be in that environment of tens of thousands of folks that will just be having that shared bond. So it seems to me that that is another avenue where folks can be there, that they don't care who the person's views are on a number of these issues. It's that shared bond. And I also agree with what something Lyndah said earlier, because I think I told you before, Zach, I consider myself more spiritual than religious, because I find that some of the religious conversations get too caught up in the house and the building and in the personalities, and not enough in the message. Because I do agree with what Lyndah said. Most of the message is the same. I don't care if you're a Muslim, Christian, Hindu, even atheists have a lot of the same common goals of wanting to be unified and to be kind of having a common goal in humanity and everything. So I think that we sometimes get too caught up in the cult of personality and the cult of the buildings and what fashions you're wearing and a number of other things that are not really pertinent to the overall.
You're right
message.
about
So
that.
that's just,
You're right about that. I didn't mean to cut you off, but you're right about that, because this religion thing, I mean, I've been out of that since I was 13. My dad was a minister. I grew up in the church, but he basically told me about the metaphorical aspects of it. What's up, Kev? My man Kev, love you, bro. He told me about the metaphorical aspects, and he said, you take what, because I used to ask him, like, you keep writing sermons every Sunday, this and that, and how do you come up with this and that? And he'd be practicing them in the house, and he said, this is metaphorical. He said, basically, I'm just trying to let people know about the good side of a book. He said, because a book can be interpreted many different ways. So early on, me and my sister, he gave us the freedom to explore other things. But see, what it did for me, and I can only speak for me, being in that church, being part of that community as Black people and minorities had to deal with back then, it was basically the country club, it was the political house, it was the information place, it was the beauty parlor, it was the barbershop. Those were the things in the Black community that kept the Black community knitted, right? And we needed those things at the time. And as we've made progress, of course, now we can branch out. Because like Kev always says, man, and Lyndah, you said this too, and a lot of people say this, everybody that's spiritually and into whatever they're into for the one, power of the one, the creator, always says man is the perverter. And not by man, I don't mean the male version. I just mean that Homo sapiens.
Human race.
Yeah. We perverted. All the good stuff was always good. It was, we were born divine. You know, I'm starting to understand
about every
more
religion.
and more.
They all say, you know, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal.
exactly.
Yep, that's right. That's right. Mark, you mentioned something. And again, we didn't forget about Pride Month. I was going to mention that at the end. The LGBTQ plus community is a very, very important part of our society. Whether we agree or disagree, totally irrelevant. We have to let people be. We have to understand that it's not our place to judge, but it is our place to protect. Like, I'm not going to judge you, and maybe that's not for me. But at the same time, I'm not going to let no one hurt you, no matter what race, creed, color, or gender you are.
Right.
And I think if we all just got into a little bit more of that, see something wrong, try to send some positive messages to it. You don't have to physically be there, you know. But a lot of times in this country, we know we're going to have, unfortunately, some kind of shooting coming up. We know that. So let's think ahead. How do we prevent that? Let's be proactive. Lyndah, I'm going to ask you first.
Yeah.
How can we be, and then Mark, I'll ask you, you can answer the same question, but Lyndah, how can we be proactive going forward to try to help heal the world?
You know what? I think we need to look at mental health because, you know, when people are, I can't imagine what's happening in someone's life that they think that that's the answer. I can't even imagine. But if you're in that kind of crisis, we need to have something for you.
That's right.
All right, pointing your finger at the bomb or pointing your finger at the gun or the knife or whatever doesn't solve the problem. You're chasing symptoms. We need to look at the problem. Why are people spiking like that?
Yep. That's
What's
right. Kev
happening?
said the same thing. Yep.
And I think we need to look at that. And if we see somebody in our lives, like you said at the top of the show, if you're in a way, reach out, call somebody, talk to somebody. I'm available, Zach's available, but there's people, professional people, depending on what's going on and what you need. But there's no loss of dignity in needing help. Get the help you need. That is critical because that avoids so much other stuff. That would lower domestic violence. That would lower suicide. That would lower gun violence. Like, to me, that's the first stop we should be looking at.
I agree. Mark, how do you think? How you feel about that?
No, I agree with a lot of what Lyndah was saying. We definitely got to look at mental health. We got to look at the concerns around mental health. We also have to pay attention to the intentional nature of some of these things. And there are some corporations that are glad to do what they do because they are making a bottom dollar. And I'm not knocking folks for having their hustle and everything, but let's be very clear that is why a lot of drugs are pushed at us. A lot of food is pushed at us because there are certain organizations and certain corporations that are making a significant amount of money off of that, including some that are based here in North Carolina, where all three of us are, and all in that space. So we definitely have to be aware of that. But at the same time, and one of the things that I was thinking about was that a lot of times we don't have to necessarily agree in everything. I am going to probably continue to eat a chicken and everything, but if a friend of mine is a vegan or a vegetarian, I'm not going to knock them for that particular lifestyle choice. And the same thing can be said around people's sexuality. I am definitely one that enjoys the heterosexual lifestyle, but I'm not going to knock somebody that wants to have another lifestyle or another belief system in that sense. But I think we sometimes get too caught up in our way or the highway and everything. And that is another thing that I've seen from some of the religious and fundamentalists and everything. And I don't think that is a correct attitude as well. So like I said, I've got friends that are across the political divide. I've got some socialist friends. I've got some Republican friends, and I definitely have some fellow Democrats. But I think that they all have a right to their opinion and all. So that's one of the things we've got to do is give people a right to express their beliefs. You can try to convince them that around your viewpoint, but don't be trying to dictate in such a way that is going to hinder your friendships. I mean, I've seen people get divorced and break up over everything from bathroom bills to abortion rights to a number of other things. And I do think a woman has a right to choose, but I can at least listen to the viewpoints of those that do not have that same belief in that way. And I think that too often we get too caught up in not doing something that is very fundamental. Y'all were talking about God earlier, and he gave us these particular organs for a reason. He gave us the mouth to speak from and everything, and he gave us 2 ears, and there's a reason he gave us 2 ears, and that is to listen. And I don't think that we spend
listen to both sides. That's right. Got to listen to both sides. You know what though, Mark? You said something interesting about that, but I was gonna say we're hanging out with Lyndah Tello, 1099 ladies. Mr. Markley, our producer, Funk from the Front Seat, 9 on the Grind TV. You guys are amazing. Stay active on the chat line. I see y'all keeping them in. We got our views coming in. We appreciate you guys. We'll be running this show again at 6. And then again at 12 o'clock tonight for our overseas audience. Don't forget tomorrow, and we ain't going nowhere just yet, but don't forget tomorrow, tune in, 9 on the Grind TV, 3 p.m. David Webb, the Dayton, Ohio music radio show is part of our thing now. And Jen says, and we now know that good health is mental health. That's right.
Gut health. Gut health. The health of your stomach.
Oh, gut health. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry, Jen. Gut health. Oh, so stomach. Yeah, we need the microbiome in our gut.
Microbiome in our gut that our ancestors had. And
what is that? Right. What is that?
So remember, before refrigerators were invented, we had fermented food, beer, sauerkraut, right? Jerky. So we had this fermented food, and in that fermented food are tiny organisms. And when we put them in our bodies, it lives in our gut. It helps us digest our food, helps us absorb all the nutrients. Classic thing in America is to order a drink with your food. But when you drink, you reduce your stomach's ability to absorb everything you just ate, the nutrients. You should not drink anything while you're eating. You should eat, wait a half an hour, and then have something to drink, or drink a half an hour before, because so that's what they used to do in the old days.
Yeah.
They would get more nutrition from the food because they didn't undermine it. A lot of things we're doing right now, we undermine. So if
Yes.
we're drinking soda with the hamburger, we're not getting any nutrition there, because the soda reduces all your acid, reduces your body's ability to absorb those nutrients, whatever they are. So they all pass through you, and you didn't hardly get anything out of it because you undermine the process. So that's what she's talking about, that stomach stuff that we need. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you, Jeff, for bringing up. Yes, that's why this show is educational, because we find out all kinds of things. Because I saw that word and never knew what it meant. But instinctively, there's some things that I've been changing about myself, and I think society's changing as well. I see, because before clocks were invented, now we know time is something that man came up with, the structure. It was only daytime and nighttime, but we had to put a cap on it, so we'll make this an hour, whatever. We never ate past darkness. There were no midnight snacks. You weren't getting up at 12 o'clock at night, going out in the farm messing with a cow or a chicken. You ate, and then you went to bed, or you read, or you did what you did, right? Or drank or whatever. And I notice when I eat at a certain time, 10, 11, 12 at night, I'm screwed for the rest of the night.
That's right.
So I've been trying to not eat past sundown.
Good.
Yeah, I've been really.
Yeah, that's a new thing, intermittent fasting, where you, because we were all eating at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning and snacking till 10. So your body was always digesting. It never had a chance to rest. So now I break my fast around lunchtime, and I have my last meal about sunset, like you said. And my body really gets to rest now when I sleep, because it's not digesting food.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And fasting is important too. Like, I fast every Tuesday. I haven't been the past couple of weeks, but usually Tuesday was my day to fast, just to cleanse my body out mentally and spiritually, and it does help. I tell you, it helped me lose weight. It helped me stay clear. I noticed when I fast for 2 days, right? Some days I did, the longest I ever did was like a 4-day one. And shout out to my health coach out in California, Lyndah Tello and Susan Sewell. We're going to have them on the show. But they got me into their little group. And, we kind of do it together. And we're not even in the same state. But, we work together. Another lady, Jennifer, rather. So when you guys are thinking spiritually, Mark, you think it spiritually, right? What do you think fasting does?
No, fasting gives you a chance. It's kind of like meditation. Fasting is along with meditation, along with taking that break, because a lot of times, particularly in this modern day time, we are too caught up in that rush kind of period and everything. So I think that the fasting is an opportunity to clear out a lot of things. Both it clears out the negativity that is in the body and some of the toxins that are in the body, but it also gives you a chance to slow down and breathe and relax and things of that nature. Because I think that sometimes, even in the middle of a busy day, you have to have some time for yourself. I've told you before on this show and other shows that I am a big fan of going out and looking at nature, looking at what's going on, and sometimes just watching two birds courting and mating can be a fun little break in the day, because I've definitely seen that in our apartment complex where you see them flying together. So
I know, right?
A little bit of courting going on and all in that space. And I've definitely seen it even with some of the other animals, or just the observation of everything from our domestic creatures. That just down the road from you is a cat, and I literally paused yesterday as I was walking down back to my apartment, because we don't stay that far from each other, and we and the cat had a bonding moment where we were sitting there staring at each other, and all in that space. I don't even know the cat's owner, but I do know that we somehow connected, because I am a pet person, and I love those pets, even though I don't have one currently at the moment and everything. So I think that that's part of what fashion is about, is a chance to slow down and relax.
Nature is very important. Like, Lyndah, explain like the power that you feel when you do your little shorts on YouTube and you're walking and you're explaining, okay, this is Lyndah, and today we're going to do this. And I love those, by the way, those shorts. Tell us why you started doing that and the power that you believe that has. I love them.
Well, so the series he's talking about is called The City Girl Has Moved to the Country.
Yes.
And so I think I'm on this journey, and I wanted to document it, right, and share it with the world at large. But it just talks about the shift of living in a city to moving to the country and what that looks like and all the different things I'm encountering. So some things are just educational, like I never had well water before or septic, and that's all new to me and what the details surrounding that. But recently I talked about, because people kept asking me, I sprout mung beans. So you take a glass mason jar and you put a quarter cup, which is just a little bit, and you soak it overnight. And every day, then you pour the water out. Every day you fill it up, swirl it around, spill the water out. And in 4 days, the jar is filled to the brim with these, and it has 200 times the protein of its adult counterpart. So if you're looking for an inexpensive plant-based protein, you can put it in a wrap. You can put it in a soup instead of noodles. You can put it, stir fry it. If you're looking to save money on your grocery bills, if you're looking to do like a cleanse, like after a 2-day fast, maybe you want to just eat like sprouts to ease yourself back to eating, to introduce something that's, nobody's put any pesticides on it because it's grown on your kitchen counter, so it's pure food that hasn't been adulterated or processed by somebody. So I think it's a great thing, and you can have something all year long, because a lot of times a garden in the winter, there's nothing going on, but you can always sprout on your countertop all year long. So it's a great way to have vegetables in your life every day of the year, whether you have a good crop or not. It's something you can have,
Yeah.
Hey, Lyndah, I had two just quick questions. I know we're winding down, but one thing is I was thinking about gardens, and I know that there is a couple of folks that plant gardens in the apartment complex that I'm part of and everything. And I know that even though I am not a garden plant person, even though I did recently get a kind of a mint plant that is in the window of my apartment and everything, and it's good getting that kind of vibe and energy from the plant. But I just wondered, could you speak to maybe a little bit about the importance of gardening in general? Because I think sometimes the gardens aren't always just for the gardener, but they also are sometimes the benefit can be had from those that are around the garden. One of the gardeners that I'm thinking about, they actually plant usually every year a sunflower plant, and I know that a lot of people get enjoyment from seeing that sunflower plant grow up, because it goes up to the next floor and everything. So it is definitely something that resonates every year with people. But I was just wondering your thoughts around that.
Yeah, well, first of all, I think it reminds us who we are on the planet, and that there's a greater force at work around us at all times. But I keep a pot of mint by the door, because you know who hates mint? Ants, roaches, and spiders. So it's like a natural insect repellent. I keep it right at my front door to let them know, here's the line. You stay outside, I stay inside. But you know what? If I feel like I want to, I love to take mint and make some lemonade and put a few fresh leaves of mint in it. It's really great combination. Or I can make some tea with it. I hang it upside down, I dry it, and then I make a tea with it. So, if you like that, it's a great, easy thing to do. It grows like a weed. You really can't screw it up. You know what I mean? So
let me ask you something.
It's a great
idea. I just
idea.
wanted to add this, because what you said about that, Mark, just reminded me of something that I heard, and I don't know who said it, but the power that we have. Okay, everybody listen to this closely. I'm going to move up a little closer. The power that we have inside of us, imagine it like this. An oak tree was once a seed, right? And even though that seed is so tiny, it may be like this, right? A tiny seed, but that oak tree was inside of that tiny seed. And when you plant that tiny seed, and then it grows into that powerful oak tree. So remember, each and every one of you out there have that tiny seed that can grow into something tremendously big, like a sequoia tree in California. Because that sequoia tree that's 200 feet tall and, like 10 yards wide was once a tiny seed. And somebody told me that, and I said I was going to mention it on my show. And I'm sorry, I forgot the person that told me. It was an Uber passenger. But I said, I'm going to mention that because it's very profound. Because, again, we all have that tiny seed, right? Think about it.
Yeah, that's real profound.
Yeah, and you know what? That tiny seed is a metaphor for your kind word to somebody.
Right.
When you're kind to somebody, you're sowing a seed that could blossom into a big, beautiful thing.
That's right.
So we should always be planting those seeds of kindness. So there's the real life seed that he's talking about, and then there's the symbol of that, which is what we're doing. Our energy, our words, our action, those are seeds we can sow every day of our lives.
That's right. That's right.
Hey,
And stay off TV.
Yeah, stay off TV. Lyndah, the other quick question I have for you, and this is actually somewhat serious, but also just admitting to my own weaknesses. My dad is an avid swimmer and goes to the pool all the time and everything. I cannot barely swim at all. I'm barely good at floating. So for those that are not the best at swimming, but know the importance of water, because I am a member of one of those water signs and everything, what advice would you give for those of us that would love to be able to swim? Like I said, Dad used to be a scuba diver, but it was back injuries that caused him to get into swimming, and he's been an active swimmer for the large period of his life. I'd say several decades and everything. But for those that have not learned that whole swimming strokes, the backstroke and the butterfly and all of those other kind of aspects of swimming, what kind of encouragement can you give us to still have that water connection, but not necessarily be a swimmer? And I do love when I go to the beach, even though it's been ages since I've been to the beach, walking on the shore and everything in that nature. But yeah, me and swimming are not friends.
Thanks, Mark. After this, we're going to get going.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said at the top of the hour, I mean, even putting yourself in a hot Epsom salt bath, you're surrounding yourself by that salt water that your body is just so thirsty for. Or foot soak. You can just put a bowl in front of the TV and stick those pores on the bottom of your feet can really absorb a lot of nutrients. So I would say, Epsom salt, baking soda, cocktail in the water, put your feet in there, and while you're watching TV and let your body, like a straw, drink up all those nutrients that you're looking for. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. I'll definitely try that. That sounds like a great way to get that connection that I would like to have. Like I said, I am due for a beach trip. I need to go to someplace exotic like apparently you did and everything, but I got to get on that beach trip.
Hold on one second, Mark. I wanted to get this comment in. Kevin, my main man, thanks, Kevin. A big part of today's mental illness is the supercomputer called a smartphone, the external prototype of the chip they want to implant. And you're absolutely right. Please keep that post up, Mark, because you spot on, Kev.
Yeah.
Because they got us attached to it. What do you think, Lyndah?
I think you should charge your phone in another room for where you sleep.
I do that.
Your brain a complete break from that phone.
Yep. I keep my phone in the living room, and I don't even want it near me in the bedroom for that reason.
Yeah.
And they got us hooked.
During the day, I need it. I need it for work. I can't do my job without it. Literally. Same for you. I mean, you can't be an Uber driver without a phone. You know what I mean?
That's right. Yep.
But we can also put up a boundary like Kevin's recommending.
That's right.
Because we're not giving ourselves a break. We've got that thing by us 24 hours a day. He's spot on with that. I totally agree.
And thank you, Kev, because I see people all the time. Like in certain states, you can't drive with it, but down here they crash all the time because they're holding it. Literally, they won't even put it in the self holder to talk. They literally have to have it attached. Bing, ding, tweet, this, that.
Zach, but it's not just that. I think I brought it up on this show with Lyndah before, and I know I've brought it up on several other shows that I've been part of. But how often have you dropped off a passenger or gone to a restaurant and seen a family of 4 or a family of 5, and they are all on their various devices and not even engaging the people that they are in the building with and everything? So that just frustrates me because I'm sitting there going like, y'all came here. It's supposed to be a family outing.
Hell yeah.
I've even seen people on dates that are literally, I'm like, no wonder y'all don't know whether y'all are going to be a couple or not because y'all are too busy chatting the nature of the date and everything to everybody else going on. So I sometimes think
and you know what? We're going to get Kev on at some point, and we're going to do a whole show on that topic.
Yeah.
So Kev, be prepared. And we're going to bring Lyndah on and maybe a few other people. We're going to deep dive. Yes. We're going to deep dive into. Remember that show, The Gong Show? Every time the guy did something, they had to go like that. Every time you do that, I'm going to make sure I say it. But we're going to deep dive into that, Kevin, because I think it's going to be a fascinating conversation. Because I want to get. Okay.
Those movies, The Terminator, Matrix. I mean, it's like life is imitating art. You know what I mean? We're going.
And they knew this. And to see every movie we see, they're letting us know because they already had that stuff. So then they slip it into us. All right, Kev, thanks. Good looking out. They slip it into us through the movies, the Hunger Games, the Matrix, all of this stuff. And then we're actually doing it. There's no reason in the world for a phone to dominate your life. And see, that comes down to self-esteem. And we're going to save this for the show. And then, Lyndah, we're going to give you the last word to get out of here. You guys have been a great audience today. But when you have to have this, and then somebody's like, oh, well, you don't look pretty enough. And then they comment on it. And then it makes you feel a kind of way. We got to change that. But that's a whole nother subject. Mark, you've been great. Awesome producer. You guys have been so active on the chat line. I appreciate you, all you guys out there. Please keep the comments coming. Lyndah, a special person in my life, is going to reach out to you. I gave her your number, so I hope you don't mind. So she'll be in touch with you because I really want you two to get together. Always, I'm going to invite you back. You know this. And we're going to talk about more things. We're going to give Lyndah the full screen, and then we're going to get out of here. So thanks to everybody. Funk from the Front Seat, Not Underground TV. What an amazing show today. So, Lyndah, it's all yours.
Hey, everybody. I'm here just to help. I'm here to be of service to you. So I would welcome an opportunity to have a conversation as to how I could help you financially, emotionally. I can think of resources that aren't occurring to you because I can be more objective than you. Please reach out. Please let me bless you, because that's my desire, is to lift people up, find them where they're at, lift them up to the next space. Please reach out. I would love to help you. Short and sweet.
That reach out is good, because people do need to reach out to you, and you can definitely find all information. If you don't have it, reach out to me. Funk from the Front Seat, 9 on the Grind TV. It's been an amazing grind. So let's get out of here. On our way home, brainstorm. Clap your hands like this. Remember, funk, not fight. Put the guns down. Night. One of my favorite groups, Brainstorm. Y'all look them up. North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, Georgia, Florida, Oklahoma, D.C., Philly, St. George, New York, Queens, Staten Island, Detroit, Minneapolis, Chicago, Oklahoma, Utah, North and South Dakota, Wyoming. I got a fan out there. I know, because they sent me an email. On our way home, y'all. Just keep believing. Brendan, Ohio, much love. Lucy and Patty, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Lost inside a world California, Hawaii, Samoa, doing the Hopi hump. Tokyo, I'm young. I say yo. Japan, China, Germany, Italy, Cocolino, Elizabeth Island, I love you. Australia, love you guys over there, Carmen and Wendy. Africa, Dubai. I'm loving it. Trust in that love, yo. On our way home, y'all. Africa, where you at? Ukraine, Russia. Colombia, Puerto Rico, Not on the Grind TV. I got a fan over there. Y'all send me an email. Thank you. Look up Brainstorm, yo. Remember, it's Pride Month, so be kind to people. Come from the Front Seat every Saturday, 12 p.m. Our guest today, Lyndah Tello, is in the house. My producer, Mr. Mark Lee's in the house. But we all going home one day. Hell yeah! Woo! Hot show today, y'all. Go out, feel good, spread love. You heard it right here on Funk from the Front Seat. Let's ride! Music feels so good, don't it? We'll catch y'all next Saturday where we gotta have another great guest. Funk from the Front Seat. Our guest today, Lyndah Tello, is in the house. Love you, Lyndah. Thank you so much. Mark, thank you so much. And let's go home, y'all. Let's get out of here. Peace.